Here we go.
Good morning, friends. I come back to you as I promised to talk about marriage commitments and husbands. Marriage commitments and husbands. Those of you who have watched my Facebook post, people have pushed back and said, why don't you address wives as well? No, I come for husbands, my fellow husbands. And I want to talk about very briefly on marriage commitments for husbands. Let me begin by saying that marriage is not for boys. Marriage is for men. Because marriage is not a casual affair, but a life commitment. Adultery, therefore, is the worst offense any man, any husband can commit against his wife. It is not only a sin against your wife, it is a sin against yourself. Because the Bible teaches that husband and wife are one. To sin against your wife is to sin against your own body. And for the time I have, I want to bring two main points. Point number one. With marriage vows, in the presence of God, you enter into a covenant. With marriage vows, in the presence of God, you enter into a covenant. Do you remember your wedding day? The officiating priest asked this question, and he said, Segundi, will you take Nagundi to be your wife? Will you love her, comfort her, honor and protect her, and forsaking all others, be faithful to her, as long as you both shall live? Will you? And depending on your response, and for many of us who said, yes, I will, then the wedding service continued. If you had said, no, I will not, the wedding service would not have continued. What point am I making? Your wife entered into this marriage relationship based on that commitment you made. If you hadn't made that commitment, your wife wouldn't have gone into that marriage arrangement. But I'm also saying that only death can terminate this covenant, not a misunderstanding, not some irresistible beauty of another woman, not when you are hot-blooded. No, only death can terminate this covenant. So number one, with marriage vows in the presence of God, you entered into a covenant. My second point and last point is this. The decision to marry is not a forced decision. Man up and be responsible. The decision to marry is not a forced decision. Man up and be responsible. Marriage demands of you to focus on your wife in an exclusive relationship. Listen to how the wise man that ever lived put it, speaking to us husbands. And I'm quoting Proverbs chapter 5, verse 15 to 19. He says, drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets, let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Do you hear the spirit of these words of wisdom? What metaphors? Focused love, exclusive love, yielding to the captivation of your woman, your wife. He says, rejoice in her, be crazy about her. And so, friends, the second thing we see which is important is that you need to man up and give your wife lifelong focus. Give your wife lifelong focus. Be captivated by her. I close by saying two things for emphasis. Adultery goes against these commitments no matter what excuse you give. Husband, the least you can do in your marriage is to be faithful to your wife. Not to take her to Dubai, not to buy her a BMW, not to do these nice things we see on Facebook, we see in pictures, but to be faithful to your wife. This is the commitment you made when you became a husband. I'll be praying for you that you remain faithful. God bless you.